Hello, family law attorneys. My name is Meraz, the founder of JurisDigital, and today we're going to be talking about getting listed in Google's local results, specifically the local pack and Google Maps. Let me just start by showing you exactly what I mean to make sure we're on the same page. And what that is, if I do a search, I'm doing an inbound search, let's say that I'm looking for a divorce attorney and I'm located in Los Angeles, basically what will happen is I might type in Los Angeles divorce attorney or high net worth divorce attorney, whatever that is. And then I'm going to be listed here with results. We have sponsored results. These are pay-per-click. Sometimes you will see a local services ad, which is a pay-per-lead. But right here, where a lot of the clicks are going, this is considered the local pack, okay? And this shows up in a number of different ways. One is the three results that typically show here. But also, if I hit more businesses, it'll show the local finder. Well, it's not loading right now for whatever reason. That's weird. But it will show basically more businesses. And then also, if I went to Google Maps or use the Google Maps listing on my phone, it would show those as well. Now, one thing to keep in mind, to show up here, all you need to do, outside of the sponsored at least, for these free clicks, is to have a Google business profile, formerly called Google My Business, Google Places, a lot of different things over the years, but that's what you need, okay? So if you're a new firm and you're starting off, this is what you need to have, and you need to make sure you only have one of them. So I'm just going to go through a quick walkthrough of what you need to do to go ahead and get your firm added. So first and foremost, you can basically just pull up Google and Google Google Business Listing or Google Business Profile. And basically what's going to happen is you're going to be taken to the GBP, Google Business Profile page, where you can add a new listing. When you start adding your listing, there are a few nuances, and that's kind of the purpose of today's video, is to talk about some of those. But first and foremost is your law firm's name. You have to add this. And it's important to note that this is a ranking factor. So if I was, let's say, a Los Angeles divorce attorney, Google might say, hey, look, if my business is called this might be a brand search, okay? It doesn't maybe quite understand. And Google loves serving brands. So typically what you see is if you have a keyword or a location in your actual business name, that will be a ranking boost. The problem is this has to be your actual business name. It should be on your signage, on your door. It should be, a DBA registered or fictitious profile. You have to have that. That's absolutely 100% correct, because if you don't, what will happen is you risk suspension. And you might not get suspended today or tomorrow, but eventually when you get caught, what's going to happen? Your listing is gone, okay? And you won't be able to restore it without that proof, which could be a video walkthrough, could be an image, could be a business license, whatever. You have to have all your ducks in a row here. So if your firm is just the partners' names right now, you have to basically get to a point, a marketing decision of, hey, who are my ideal clients? Who am I trying to serve? And am I the guy that's trying to go after everything, or am I going to niche in and become basically recognized as the sole authority, the expert in divorces or high net worth divorces, whatever that is? So that's a business decision. We'll definitely cover that in other videos, or I cover it in an episode on the Family Law Formula podcast, but something to consider, okay? Outside of that, you have the business category. This is what you need to put as your top category. Now, they don't have categories for everything, but they do have divorce lawyer. I bring that up because there's a lot of different categories that a divorce attorney could potentially choose. One of them might just be, well, I want to take all these other types of cases in family law as well, so you might choose family law attorney. However, if the type of cases that you're really going after are only divorce cases, then you definitely really want to focus in and hone down. It's easier to rank after you've niched in, okay? So if you have a niche, that's better for Google, that's better for marketing, that's better for getting in front of your ideal clients, and that's going to help you sign the better cases. So just again, think about that. That being said, you can change this later. So let's just start with divorce lawyer here, and we would add more later. After we've created and verified this profile, we would add other supplementary categories, perhaps attorney, trial lawyer, law firm. The more that are completely relevant to your business, the better. Anything that's not relevant, take it away, because you might you might find that those will get unnecessary leads, or you might find that if you add an unrelated category, all of your rankings will tank. So when we get to the next page here, it's going to ask, do you want to add a location customers can visit, like a store or office? This will show up. It'll publish this address on Google Maps and in the local pack. And really the answer to this depends on if you have an office, but ultimately the answer should lean towards yes, because physical businesses, especially in legal, especially for family lawyers, are really going to rank primarily in searches only if you have an address. Google wants to be able to show businesses that people can go and visit. It's something that they've always kind of leaned towards. So service area businesses kind of get screwed in this, to be honest. So keep that in mind. So hopefully you have an office. So I'll hit yes and next. And then it's going to ask for an address, okay? So basically it's going to say, hey, where are you located? And you can put in any address here. I'm just going to put in our Denver address here. And the thing you need to pay attention to here is the building, because there's another thing that can shoot you in the foot here that most family lawyers don't even realize. And what that is if you are not the only divorce attorney with a business listing in the same building, you have to realize that Google is only going to prioritize one typically per building. So if we looked at all these addresses, let's just click on a listing here of who's ranking well, we see this one's at 550 South Hill Street, and we see this one's at 1330 West Olympic Boulevard. Now there might be 10 attorneys in here, but the ones that get the most visibility are going to be the ones with the most authority, which is something we'll talk about at the end of this video. But, keep that in mind. It's just something you're going to need to overcome if you're in an office building with other people who are using that same primary category. After you've entered your address, hit next. It'll say, hey, is this your address? And again, in this example, it's showing nearby ones and none of these. An important note here is if you already have a business listing, do not create a duplicate. Excuse me. Creating a duplicate will tank your rankings, so you don't want to do that. That's really important. And so before you do this, make sure to search your business on Google Maps and say, hey, does my business already exist and have a Google business profile? And going back a couple steps here, I did say, hey, if you don't have a office address, that's going to hurt you. It will from a ranking perspective, but it won't from a brand perspective, because one of the reasons we do this profile is to make sure customers can leave reviews for our family law company. And basically, if I'm doing a branded search for the name of your law firm, this is going to show up pretty much no matter what after it's verified. So if you're collecting reviews there, it's a great brand signal, a great brand enhancement to get in front of those clients that already know about you. Next, it's going to ask, do you provide deliveries for home and office visits? That one's up to you. Maybe you do client visits for some reason at their house. You could do that. And then it's going to ask you for your phone number and website. A couple important notes here. Google used to track the number of phone calls, but they're taking away that ability now. So what does that mean for you? It means you should use a service like CallRail. That's what we do for our clients at JurisDigital to make sure that we can track every single call that this generates. Next, you're going to put in your website. That is optional. Hopefully you do have a website. You can also use a UTM code here as well if you want to track the specific clicks that are coming from your Google business profile to your website. So you can say, hey, look, this is how much traffic is coming directly from this listing that I'm not paying for. So obviously that's great, good info. So what you would do here is you'd put in your business phone number. It wants me to do a real one. Just going to put in something here, because what it will do is it will verify this information. And as we get to the end, it's going to say, hey, how do you want to get verified? Should I send a text here, or should I do a video? In a video, you might have to record a walkthrough, and they're going to make sure that you're legit. This is to reduce spam that's happening. Also, some options have other verify options. If you already have an established website and you've created Google Search Console and you've set up Google Analytics, after a couple weeks, then typically it may just ask for a quick verification or an auto verification. So that's one thing we do with existing clients. So I'm actually not going to do this right now. I'm going to say verify later. And that means it's not going to show up live, essentially, all this work that I'm doing. So next you're going to get to services. Okay, you do want to select all of the services that you actually do here and none of the ones that you don't. And I say that because what you'll find is after you have this profile live is Google will add services over time. You have to monitor this listing. And if your front office people are telling you, hey, I'm getting calls for irrelevant cases that we don't take, Typically what I've seen happen is that these services pop up on the profile. So that's something you need to pay attention to and check as a part of your monthly checklist to make sure that you're not fielding irrelevant calls and wasting everybody's time, and instead just continue to feed the information that's relevant to what you do. But there's also the option here to add a custom service. So you should add, again, high net worth divorce attorney, something very specific to what you do, and reinforce that message with Google. So add the variants there that would be relevant to the types of cases that you want. Make sure if your ideal client is typing something into Google, that's something that's going to be here. After this, you're going to hit next, and we're going to get to the next page here, and you have to list your office hours, okay? These are the hours that the office is staffed. Now, there's a quick tip here that I should just tell you straight up that most people won't tell you. If you have the wrong hours, your profile could get suspended. So let's say that we're not actually open 24 hours in the sense that customers can't visit my actual location. That's what Google's really asking here, is when can I show up to your store? Because I'm going to put an open sign on your digital online presence here. So a lot of law firms, you'll notice, are doing this, even though it's not the case that their offices are staffed 24/7. Technically, that is a no-no. I will say the risk at this moment in time, in July 2024, that risk is low. So that is a business decision for you. If it gets suspended, you probably would have to reinstate your profile and through some sort of verification, and you wouldn't want to really do it again in the future or risk worse. So keep that in mind. After this, it's going to take you to the business description. A lot of customers won't actually see this, but it's a good opportunity to put your best foot forward. Anything on your digital presence online should align with your brand, should align for your ideal clients, and should always be your best effort. If you're not putting your best effort, there's no way you're going to stand up, and it's going to stand out, and it's going to leave a lot to clean up in the future. So this is the best law firm in the world. Really think about what separates you. Why are you the best choice to hire versus the other 20 divorce attorneys or family law attorneys in my city? So anything that sets you apart, that makes you different, do that. Because every attorney is going to say, oh, this is my success rate. Oh, and oh, look, I have an AVO award, or I have this or that. What makes you different? Think about that. Add photos of your business. This would be a monthly checklist item as well. You want to continue to add to this to grow your presence and grow your profile. But make sure to add photos, your logo, at work, of your office. And again, on a monthly basis, that's something that you're going to want to continue to do to keep your profile fresh, to keep it active, and to increase your rankings overall. And then, of course, it's Google. Their model of business is ads, so they're going to try to sell you ads. Great, cool. So after this, basically, it's going to try to say, hey, look, these are other things you can do, other things we can sell you. But essentially, you're going to get to the end, and once you're verified, this will show. So what you're going to want to do, hopefully your listing is verified at that point, because then you're going to want to actually go back in and finish editing the rest of your profile. Now, 24 to 48 hours after it's live, go ahead and do a search for your brand on Google and then see, hey, is this coming up? Because if it's not, that's something you want to pay attention to. But basically, let's say that this listing is now live. You have all of these things that you can play with here. If I go to edit profile, it's going to give me some of the options that I can edit that we already went through. But you're also going to see the opportunity to add and link your social profiles. You should definitely do that, because kind of the speculation in the future is Google might get rid of Google Posts. It might feed back into social media again. We'll see if that happens or not. Service area for most law firms, basically if you're serving like downtown, you can put that in here. It's not necessarily important. It's more for service area businesses. Special hours for holidays, you can go through and add those. And then, of course, if any of these things apply to you, you can do those also. There's also some more options that you can add. These attributes is what we call them. If you're owned by a certain group, minority group, you can put that in here. If you have wheelchair accessible access, you can put that in here. Certain amenities like toilets and that. But basically you want to fill all of these things out. Take a look at them, spend some time, make sure they're there, especially the language ones, because if you're serving multiple languages, that's something that you want to do. There's also a hack that you can do by pulling up your listing in like Google Maps in Spanish, for example, and then editing your business listing to have your Spanish name. We won't go into those advanced tactics in this video, but rest assured that will be in another video. So again, you edit the profile, read reviews. There's no reviews for this, so this isn't going to really work. But something you need to be aware of on an ongoing basis is if you get reviews, you need to respond to them as the business owner, thanking them. That shows that your profile is active and that you're a real business, and it also shows people, hey, look, how did this people respond to people online? Because people online can be nasty. It's not really how they are in real life. I think we all know that everybody is a keyboard warrior when they're behind their keyboard here. So I think it's important that you pay attention to that and also make sure that you're responding to those reviews in your best foot forward. Try to take that conversation offline if it's a negative review, and really try to help people out. Text me directly, call me directly, whatever that is. So there are some performance stats that are still in here. You'll notice products, because this is used for both brick and mortar businesses and both service businesses. We actually add products and services for our clients where we will upload a picture. Let me just get started here so you can see what it looks like. Put the product name, high net worth divorce attorney, add a custom photo here. Don't use the same photos that everybody else uses from stock photos online. Those are so boring. Hate those. You can put a category, if there's a price and a description, and then of course you can link to that direct product page. You could also do the same with services. The reason that we did that is because they do show up on the profile, and that can help, again, reinforce what you do. And then Q&A. This is something that is like overlooked. Nobody's doing this, but you need to ask your front desk staff or ask yourself, what are the questions I get most often? You can answer those using a different logged in Google profile publicly if you find your business listing directly from Google search results. Let me just show you what that looks like to make that make a little bit more sense here. Here we go. Let's say Progresso Legal Group is who I want to speak with. If I scroll down kind of to the bottom here, up a little bit more. Yeah, where is it? You can ask a question, and I'm just missing it right now in my mind. And then when you ask that question, basically what you're going to do is respond to that, again, putting your best foot forward. So here you go. Question and answers. I just saw it. There we go. Ask a question. So anybody can publicly ask a question on your Google business profile. So this is your opportunity, though, to put those first, okay, and then respond to them as the business owner. Again, best foot forward, so people who look for your brand have all this information in front, because this is what they're going to see. This is all the stuff you filled out: the photos, your business name, the reviews, your primary category, even though you can add additional, your business information, your address, your phone number. These are Google posts. We haven't talked about those yet. We're going to cover those next. The Q&A, products, just like I mentioned, popular times, etc. Everything about your business kind of comes in here. So next, let's talk about the update. So this is Google Posts. So if I click this, I can add an update about my business. We just helped a client through a very difficult divorce, and this is what they said about us, and maybe you upload a picture of a client testimonial. If you want to make that picture look good, you can use a service like Canva. Quickly go online and create a branded graphic for you and upload that. One of the keys to posts is whenever you're adding these is I would always make sure to make them look great, but also always use unique content. Talk about your primary services, talk about happy clients, because again, if people are searching you from a brand perspective, they will see these posts. They show up here. They have a lot of real estate right now. So take advantage of that. It's also a quick trick that we use to index pages. So if you wanted to, let's say, index a page of content that you created on your website and Google's not seeing it, it's not showing up, you can say, hey, let me add an update. Check out our new article. And then you would put the URL. It's not showing in there right now because I'm working from a non-verified listing. So if you did all those steps right there, then congratulations. Obviously, that's a lot of little details in there, but it's a lot of information. And that puts your best foot forward starting out. The problem ultimately that you need to solve is, hey, if my ideal clients are searching for a divorce attorney, and I'm a divorce lawyer, how do I make sure that I show up in these top 3? And now that you've done that, you've created this listing and it's verified, people that search your brand will be able to find you, but you're probably not going to start ranking unless you're in like a very small market and nobody else is really optimized at this point. Now you need to get better. And so this is where you would kind of move on to the more advanced tactics that we'll talk about in the next video. All of that's going to be geared around building your authority and separating yourself. And in that video, we're going to talk about things like citations, which are your business name, address, phone number, and website, on directories like Yelp and super lawyers, making sure that information is consistent across these directories. And by the way, there's an added benefit to that now. Think about ranking in ChatGPT or other LLMs, large language models, or Claude or whichever one of these that your clients are potentially using, or even Perplexity, a different search engine. Being mentioned on these best lists and these additional sources just can, again, boost your authority in Google's eyes, and which will in turn increase your rankings. But some of the other things that we'll talk about are interactions, people clicking on your listing, people Googling your name and then Googling a keyword and then clicking on your listing. Any of those interactions are a ranking benefit. And then even in 2024, links are still a big one. And links are another website that mentions you and basically links back to your existing website. There's also on-page tactics that we have to cover. Those would be modifications you would make to your actual website. Basically, the page connected to your website needs certain optimization, like the keywords and title tags and location and title tags, things like that. So, but it's a lot to undertake. So I usually find it's easy to do one thing at a time, best at a time. And right now you're set off on a good foot where you can get running, start jogging at least to get to the pace of running to start outranking your competition. If you need help setting this up, please feel free to reach out to us at JurisDigital. We're happy to help.